G'day, welcome to another video. This one's a little bit different. It's about the Moose script for DCS World. I've had quite a few questions from people asking how do you script your missions, how do I get AirBoss working, etc, etc. And so I thought it's a pretty complex subject on the outside, not so complex on the inside once you know what's going on. But I thought probably a video just with the basics. I thought this first one would just look at resources, actually how you download the Moose script itself, how the whole thing interrelates with DCS, how you set the environment in your mission editor. I'm certainly not an expert at scripting by any means. I'm a pilot by trade and have been all my working life. But I got involved in mission scripting about 4 or 5 years ago for DCS. Just trying to make the missions a bit more realistic, a bit more dynamic. And I think that's what everyone who's scripting missions strives for. And it led me into the scripting path. Initially, I found it extremely daunting and very difficult to understand until I stumbled across Moose. So Moose is short for Mission Object Oriented Scripting Environment. And basically all the heavy lifting of scripting has been done in the Moose script itself by all the volunteers that have worked over the years to build up what is a fantastic resource for anyone wanting to script in missions. It's amazing what you can achieve with the script, and it's also amazing how much work has gone into it. So I thought we'd have a look at, to start with, where you find Moose. So it's on GitHub, and if you're not into a programmer and you're a pilot like myself, that itself is quite daunting to work out how it works. So I thought we'd start there and have a bit of a look. So if we have a look here, we have the Moose GitHub site, which there is a link down below in the description. When you look at the site, there's some pinned areas at the top, which are pretty important because it's got the Moose repository itself, and then a list of the repositories down here. Now, this front page, flight control master page, is important because there's something pretty important down the bottom here, the Moose sound repository. So if you have a look in there, you'll see that it's all the sounds that are required by the AirBoss script, the ATIST scripting, some general sounds, range file script. So that's where they're all located. The way you download them is not from here. It's over here at releases. So this is a release for this repository. So you go to latest and just download the source code zip file. And it's just a zip of all the sounds that Moose script uses. So that's pretty important. So we'll download that now. So I'll just download the zip. There it goes. Downloaded. We go back to Flight Control Master again to the main page. You'll see across the top here there's overview, repositories, project packages, people. The main one we just need to use is this Moose one here when you're starting out. So if we click on that, it takes us straight to the Moose repository, and we are in it. So Flight Control Master, Moose, and we are in the master branch. Now, branches are basically different versions of the script itself in different stages of development, and they measure it by commits, how far a branch is ahead or behind another one. So this one's got 4,487 commits in total. Last one was done 3 hours ago by Frankie, updating the range lure. So it's in constant development, which is fantastic. And you know, the team at Moose have done an amazing job with this. And once you have a look at how much work's been put in here, all in their own time, mind you, it'll blow your mind. So this stuff at the top we don't have to worry about too much. You've probably noticed there's a release over here with latest, and that's where we're going to go and get the Moose script from. But before we go and get the script itself, let's scroll down. You've got the Moose framework, goals, repository, a little bit about that, how it works. And down here we have a series of areas within the script. Now, there's some pretty important things down here. The main one is the docs. Now, if you go where it says Moose docs not for use, that's where the actual script is kept for the documents. So the documents are generated from within the script. So it's fantastic because it means all the documents are always up to date with whatever the current version of the script is. But for new players, you're hunting around in here trying to work out where do I get the documents on how this works. Well, it's not there, not for use. It's down here on the website. So Moose website. There's also a YouTube channel with some videos that have been done by Frankie, which are good. And I can highly recommend if you're a Discord user to go to Moose on Discord and get involved there. A lot of information, a lot of community help, and there's also a lot of really good pinned items in there, particularly snippets of people's codes and things that will help you write your own codes that will then work with Moose to create things inside your mission. So let's start by just having a quick look at the Moose website. So when you're new to it, it'll open up this website. There's a starter's guide here, which is great. So maybe go there, have a bit of a read. Mission designer's guide, also worth a read. Classes guide. Now this one here is really important, and we'll have a look at that in a second. There's, for testing, there's some hints on how you do things, which we'll talk about probably in another video. But let's just jump in now to the classes guide. And you've got each Moose class listed down here. Now, they probably don't mean a lot to you, but as you start using it, you'll start to understand what they mean. You can access from this hamburger menu there up the top, I find is easier because it brings them up like this and you don't have to scroll so much. We scroll down all the different classes and all these are contained in the Moose script. So if we keep coming down to, say, Ops Airboss down the bottom, Ops Airboss, we can click here in the middle on Ops Airboss, and that will take us into the documents for Airboss. So the Airboss documents are quite extensive. Frankie did an awesome job with it. You can go down, have a read. A lot of information in here on how it works. I'm not going to go through it now. It's subject of another video. So I thought I'd do the next video. We'll actually set up an Airboss script. But anyway, that's where the documents are located. You can read. It's great for creating, while you're creating your own scripts, to reference some of the examples that are in the documents. So I'm just going to back right out now, back to the repository itself. And in the repository, we also have, if I go back to the mission repository, which is also handy, you'll see these Moose missions. Now these are great if you're wanting to get into scripting and you want to use, say, a spawn script and you're not sure how it works. There's examples. You can download them. You can actually, there's example missions included. So if we go down to spawn, down here, spawning, so there's a demo mission there. There's one here which is a scheduled spawn. So why don't we have a look at that? So it's a ground spawn with scheduled. So there's the mission itself, the MIS file. You can download that, put it in your DCS missions folder and run it, and it will demonstrate how it works. But more importantly, when you're writing your own scripts, if you come into the top one here, which is the actual Lua file, the Lua source file, you click on that, there is the example of the script. Now, pretty basic script, that's it. Everything that's commented out here is just notes. So spawn vehicle 1 equals spawn new, spawn vehicle 1, which is the group name, and then init limit 1 unit, unlimited, spawn schedule 30 seconds with a variation of 0.5. So between 15 and 45 seconds, it will spawn 1 unit of that vehicle that you've placed in the editor. So that's probably the example of one of the most simple scripts. And that's all you have to write. As long as you have Moose script itself embedded in your mission file in the environment, by calling this as a trigger with your script, you will get that result. So let's go back to Flight Control Master and then back into the Moose repository, and we'll download Moose itself and have a look at that. So the Moose latest 2.7.1, there it is. Some updates, what's changed. The one you want is this one here, Moose Lure. You don't have to worry about any of this, include zip, none of that, just Moose Lure for your basic, what you want to include in your mission file. If I click on that, it will download. And there it comes down there. Number 3 has arrived. If I bring open folder location, show in folder, we have the file I just downloaded, Moose 3. Now you can see I've already got Moose downloaded, and this one in fact is the dev version, which we'll talk about in a second. But I've downloaded another copy of it. So I'm just going to delete that because I'm not going to use it, because I tend to use the dev versions when I'm building missions. But anyway, so we've downloaded Moose and we've downloaded the sound pack, all the sound resources. So we've got the 2 things we need to build missions. Now the next thing we need to do is open the mission editor in DCS and set the environment so that when the mission starts, we've got the Moose script loaded. Now let's have a look at the Moose script itself. Now for editing Lure, viewing Lure, you could technically do it in Notepad, but I don't recommend that. Probably the best beginner tool is Notepad++, and it's what I generally use for looking at them. So download Notepad++ if you want to start your Lure editing and scripting. Anyway, we'll open the Moose Lure itself, and you can see the script has come up. Now, when you first look at this script, you want to see this at the top, the environment info. If you see anything up here referencing HTML or something like that, it means you have not downloaded the actual moose.lure file. You've downloaded a web link or something like that, and it's not going to work. So we'd have a quick look at this. When I first looked at this, it almost stopped me in my tracks from using Moose because it seems so daunting. But the good thing is all the hard work's been done. So with all the contributors to Moose that add to this file, and if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we'll find there's 190,000 lines of code in here. There we go, 190,282 lines of code in the Moose script itself. And that allows all those different parts of Moose to function with just simple scripts by the user that are added to your mission. But to make that work, you have to have this loaded in your mission. And the easiest way to do that is at mission start. So let's bring up DCS Mission Editor, which I have open and running at the moment. Righto. And I've got a nice blank mission here with nothing in it. And we're looking at Guam. So to set the environment, it's very, very simple. And it's the first thing I do whenever I'm making a mission that's going to have any form of Moose script in it. The first thing I do is open the triggers, create a new trigger, and call it at mission start. And I'm going to call it load Moose. And we don't need a condition because we're just loading at mission start and we want it to load. So we're going to new action, and the easiest way to do it is do script file, and we're going to call that moose script file that we just downloaded. So the moose script file is in my downloads area. Now, whenever you open this here to add the file, it always opens into saved games, open beta missions. Now, I found, just to avoid frustration, the best thing is just to move that moose file from your downloaded file area over to your save games, open beta missions folder, and just drop it in there, and that's where it lives. And you update it in there, and it just makes it a lot easier when you're editing missions, that you've got the current version of the moose lure sitting in DCS ready to be used. So there it is, the moose lure. We select that one, and now we're asking it to, at mission start, do script file, moose lure, and I might code that yellow just to remind me that it's a resource that I need loaded, and any other resources that I might use, any other like miss script or something like that I'm using in my missions, I always code them the same color. Righto, so we jump out of there, and let's save this mission as file save as well, Moose Lessons Test Ms. That's what it's going to be called. This is one, yeah, I just saved it, that's why. There we go. So the environment's set. So we now have Moose sitting in our mission editor. We've got no other units, nothing added, and now it's time to start building your mission. So that's the basics of getting Moose set up and into your mission environment. And in the next lesson, we'll have a look at writing a script, or really ripping someone else's script off and editing it and making that work in our environment. So that's the basics. Now, a couple of little other things that we can do if I just get rid of the mission editor here and go back to the Moose repository, is let's just have a talk about dev branch. So at the moment we're in Moose master branch. Now if I drop this box down, you can see there's a whole bunch of different branches in here. So Apple and Funky Frankie, they do a lot of the heavy lifting of Moose, and they have their own branches in here. But the one that we look at for the develop branch is just develop. So if I select this and it reloads, it has loaded another version of Moose that is ahead. So if you see here, this branch is 1030 commits ahead and 143 commits behind the master branch. So all the latest things that have been developed in Moose are in this dev branch. It's not well documented at the moment because it's still under development. So some of the newer features of Moose, the documents aren't complete. However, the actual Moose lure itself is fine to use. Now, if I come over here, I'm just going to get the normal standard release version, right? But I want to use this dev version of the lure. The way to do that is to come into Moose Include here, and then not dynamic, that's for dynamic loading. You want Moose Include static, and you come in here, and there's the Moose lure for the dev branch, right? Now disregard this 6 months ago business. Now if I click on this, it's not going to download. It's going to take me to a file that is 6.78 megabytes, and I can't view the raw because it's such a big file, it won't view it in here. And if I click download on here, it actually doesn't work for me. I have to right click and then go save link as. And then I've got Moose Lure, and then I'll save it into my downloads. Moose Lure, save. I want to replace it, yes. Okay, so I've just pulled the dev branch down and I have that sitting there. So now if I go into my downloads in the Moose Lure and open that, it's not working, didn't open. Notepad++ not responding. All right, let me have another go. Try it again. Okay, that worked. It's opening it in another window. All right, so there's Moose Lure. You can see I saved the link as. It has downloaded as the actual Moose file, not an HTML link. And there it is. So if you look at this file, this is the latest version, and it includes some of the newer Moose features like Chief, off drag, and there's also all the new code that is being laid on top. So, you know, that's the way to download that. That's not a bad one to have, is to run the dev version. So if you're using some of the newer scripts. So that's a basic overview of how to set your environment. The next lesson, we'll have a look at actually creating a mission using our own script that will use that mission and scripting environment. Anyway, I hope this helps. You navigate GitHub and get intrigued with starting to use the Moose script. Thanks for watching.